think that this is a fantastic idea. Not necessarily because red side is inherently stronger or anything like that. HLE just need a change, and we are jumping right into the draft.
Remember, just 2 days ago, it looked like Hanwha Life was going to blow Gen.G out and be our first seed.
Yeah.
They have now lost
This is exactly where they were.
I mean, they lost, they got reverse swept, 3 games down there, have lost 2 here, so 5 games in a row they have lost, and now may not go to MSI at all after being defending LCK champions, defending first stand champions. A crazy position to be in mentally right now for these 5 players.
And we are going to see Zeus counter. That's why we're picking red side. That's why we're banning champions. That is what we're looking towards.
Yeah.
I think that we have seen Doran be miles ahead of Zeus in that series, and in this series. It's happened in series in the past, but let's not forget, in 2024, it didn't really happen. And I think that the fact that Doran, with all the doubts that were surrounding him, showed up the way that he did today is huge. But we did see a turnaround from Canyon, and just 2 days ago again, went from being, I think, by far the weakest point, which right now I would argue is Zeus, missing skill shots. Even going back, I was talking to Atlas, he tried to ult the Poppy ult in that fight where he got knocked away.
I saw that.
And he was just a second too early, so you're not unstoppable. You do get knocked away. As the Ornn also taken off the board, I'm looking at the Rumble that is still open. Not going to give Doran that, which does make sense. A lot of the other top-tier blind picks already taken off the board. The Jax is one that you would go towards as a B1. Annie?
Okay, T1.
Well, it certainly suits the same story we've been telling, is Faker being a setup guy, a facilitator, and the ability to just drop Tibbers on people and mess up a team fight is very flexible. You can run several different types of drafts with this, so it doesn't really show anything here. And I feel like given the champ pools and the bans on the Taliyah and the Azir, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, the Nidalee is going to be instantly locked in. That could be Peanut, that could be Zeus. We'll have to have a bit of a wait and see to discover where that one is going to be going, as the Lucian, the consideration right now, feels like a pick away alongside a good pick for Viper. Leaves a lot still left up though, especially if Owner wants to get his hands on something, although of course the Nidalee can still be in jungle. I
do like it. I think that T1 is looking towards Nocturne. Owner really prioritizes the Nocturne. Nocturne Annie is a devastating combo.
Oh,
but instead, the Zyra Rakan, a classic obviously here for Guma and Keria.
So easy to follow up on a Tibber stun with both of these champions, whether it's a Feather pullback or the knockup and charm coming from Rakan. So you have insane engage here. It's a very low range composition, but you're playing into right now this Lucian. The Nidalee Spears can be an issue. We knew the Braum was going to come through here. Seemed pretty obvious. And now I wonder if we just see a Renekton ban here from Team.
Hey!
Hey, there they are.
There they go.
Wait, so Zyra Rakan, they're in the game. Wait, you guys have got to get ready. You got to
run over
Rift.
It says Guma, please play Zarya, please play Rakan.
Yeah, but they need to be leaving because they need to be in Runeterra.
Well, there's not that much time left.
Exactly. It's sticking down. I guess we'll wait for the next round of bans. It'll be fine.
I think that the Renekton here still works in this draft here for Hanwha Life Esports, but it makes it relatively all in on mid-game power, as the Owner target there on the Nocturne you were talking about is a very strong ban, Chronicler.
Yep. The Renekton probably a consideration here, even though the Nidalee can be going towards the top side because of Zeus, and we have to remember that. Twisted Fate actually going to be what is taken away. Twisted Fate Nidalee has been a tale as old as time in the LCK and around the world.
Yeah, some 2020 Damwon shades, obviously. Also into Xayah, I think the champion is just kind of crazy. It's so easy when you get RFC. We saw that literally done
by
T1, so they are like, we are not falling for that same trap.
I think that when you consider that Zeka's not a strong Twisted Fate player and they still ban it, I think it just shows that they know this pick so well.
They watched the LPL finals yesterday and they're like, no, we don't. Owner, I'm not even joking, he still has talent. We saw him pull it out recently. I think he is going to be looking towards an aggressive AD jungler. Lee is another consideration. The follow-up that you have with the Lee on the Annie is obviously kind of crazy. And they're going to pick a jungler here, right? Unless they want to keep hidden where the Nidalee's going.
Yeah, that might be the question mark here. And of course, a blind top lane pick is not what we're expecting. We're expecting Zeus to make that final call after Doran has locked something in. There is the Galio picked up. Oh god, Camille is left up and available. That could be something that Zeus could go towards, but Doran is also just coming off a phenomenal game on the Camille, I can imagine they could just lock it in.
Yeah, it's really tough to try to, and if you're in this situation as T1, expecting the Camille, what you want to play. Like the last tank left, the Orange band, the Scion is Fearless band, this is probably your angle here. And you do have, you know, again, relatively low damage, like your low range with the Xayah, she's going to do a ton later on, but the Annie, depends on your team fight scenario, whether she's going to do a lot of damage or not. The K'Sante could definitely help with that. But it does feel like we know where the end of this story ends. The biggest question now is what's that jungle carry pick for Owner going to be?
There are a couple of options. Jarvan would be interesting. Lucian isn't necessarily the type of champion that you think about. I do think it synergizes well with Annie, because Annie can go for the stun, giving you a guaranteed flag and drag. There's obviously also the Cataclysm, but no.
There it is!
That's what I was hoping for! There is the lead to pair with that Annie and to give the outplay potential. What is Hanwha going to lock in here?
This is Camille. It has to be Camille.
It's
right?
Camille or Renekton, right?
That's a horse.
Peanut Hecarim.
I mean, Camille is hard to play into Lee Sin.
This is not a Game 5 Hanwha for Fearless. There's a lot more available. Instead of going for the Camille, he looks towards some of his favorites, the Aatrox, and then ultimately the Gnar. The old counter pick to this K'Sante. Not a lot of setup for the Nidalee in this draft, though. And in terms of lane pile, you're winning out on the top side with this one for sure. Mid lane, get a little bit back and forth. I think Faker should be able to have the edge if he could continue to apply that pressure. But this is the first pick. Nidalee feels like it kind of ended up in an odd spot at the end of this draft.
And it's one of Zeus' most iconic. It's a champion that he played so much and that he really started to make a name for himself as during his debut. But it's also the champion that he played not 2 days ago against Gen G. That wasn't enough. Gen G played around that Narbar expertly. He was never really able to generate the leads that he needed to. And the champion has fallen out of favor, I think for good reason. The Peanut Nidalee though, I do think Peanut from Game 1 to Game 2 had a giant glow up, but he's got to be more active in the early game. He's got to control more objective if Hanwha Life want to give us an opportunity to at least get to a game number 4.
And he's up against Owner's Lee Sin, his most iconic champion. This guy's got a skin on this pick, for heaven's sake. This is going to be a very difficult game. Giving T1 blue side is such a crazy thing to do. HLE have made themselves a pretty cohesive draft off the back of it. But is it going to be enough to keep their hopes alive, to keep them in with a chance of getting this ticket to Vancouver, to MSI? I don't know whether it's going to be enough, because that Gnar, it represented the finish line for Gen G and may represent the finish line for T1 as well, as we jump onto the Rift here for game number 3.
미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
Hanwha fans trying to be as loud as possible, but the T1 fans are obviously drowning them out still here at the Sujic Indoor Gymnasium.
And what we thought could have been a new era of a new dominant LCK team in Hanwha. You know, sure, they didn't win the World Championship, but won their last domestic title, won LCK Cup, won First Stand. Might be cut short right here. After being one game away from going to MSI, Hanwha Life Esports may just simply not go there, and no road for this squad.
It'll just be Gen G T1 again.
Oh, yeah.
And we have to address it as well. I think that BLG's regular season, not that great. G2's regular season, not that great. They're both already locked in for MSI, guys. I just want to put it out there. I know it's something that we often talk about, and it's just the glow up. This T1 is just not the same one we saw in the regular season. And in hindsight, it kind of feels obvious. We always put up the possibility, but the fact that it actually happens and through the back of Doran is not something I necessarily expected.
I mean, I'm very personally, you know, close to thinking T1 might have been able to do it. Remember, I predicted them in regular season at the end. I was very correct. They did not beat Hanwha in that final match. I thought maybe T1 had passed them. Perhaps they needed BO5 domestic crowd, you know, live event Doran to get it done. But T1 are just looking super clean. They have such a good read on the meta right now. And it's great to see, you know, more depth here in our LCK. But if you're a Hanwha fan, you're hoping you can stop that momentum.
And it goes both ways, because as much as T1 have leveled up, I'm also not used to seeing Hanwha just straight up miss skill shots. Delight missing lances. There's a lot of fighting here.
Yeah, heals going to be thrown out here on both sides. Both of these AD carries taking the brunt of the damage here. Zeka and Faker fighting it out here in the mid lane. The Galio versus Annie matchup is not one I'm super familiar with, but should be something that should be fine for both of these players.
Viper fairly low here.
Yeah, Gumayusi actually getting so much from the Gleaming Quill. Getting all of that health back. Did drink his potion, of course, but Viper is really, really struggling here in this lane right now.
This Gnar is so important in this draft. I want to talk about it for a second because we had, remember, the consideration of Peanut playing something completely different. You know, it might not have been Hecarim, might have just been a funky hover, but playing the Nidalee top into the Cassante would have given you a lot of lane pressure, but this comp doesn't have that much damage, right? I mean, it's a Galio. If you play the Nidalee top, your team fighting gets a little bit weaker. And so now Peanut is so important in this draft on this Nidalee to be able to hit spears later on for controlling objectives. That range advantage is really only him. And if your Lucian falls super far behind in lane, things could be really disastrous. As Doran aggressive.
Yeah, the hop does come on through as Doran down below 100 health. The hyper proc comes in, but says, oh no! The transformation happens at exactly the wrong time. Still, Peanut is going to be here as Doran underneath the turret, not hit by the spear. And the wave crashes. They don't know where anyone is on the map, and they do not go any further.
And with the shield, I don't know if it would have been enough, but it definitely would have been extremely close. Could have been the opportunity, but as you highlight, he just transformed at just the wrong moment.
Just one more auto.
Just one more, as we do see the kill picked up for Zeus. The early lane playing out the way that has, but that has not been a problem for Doran. I feel like a lot of the early laning phases have been Zeus favored, but then he's able to effortlessly bounce back. Part of that is also as we keep going back to Owner. This man does so much lifting for the team, both in the fights as well as in the lane setups and the dive that they continuously fight.
Yeah, great pounce there from Peanut to get himself out of the way, just harassing Carrier and Owner out of the jungle and trying to set up something here as the 2v2 has ensued on the other side. That is going to continue here. You can see Viper still pretty far behind, as this early laning phase has been all about Gumayusi and Carrier. This is obviously one of their most successful combinations of champions. They've used this to great effect many, many times. We'll see whether it is going to continue like this. So far, so good here for the T1 bottom lane.
We do have Peanut in the area, but remember, he is Nidalee, so with no CC, I don't think he'll be able to offer anything here in defense of this lane. Would have been nice if there was a dive coming for him to be there, but Owner does not carry his clearing.
Well, there's the grand entrance as the door is going to get put up. Viper taking so much damage here as he's still trying to fight back. A dangerous decision, as we can see, as Delight just going to slow down Carrier, and they are just zoning them away from their turret here just in a 2v2.
It's getting straight up gapped in this 2v2, not even remotely close, as I think Viper really was trying to get the passive proc there together with Delight, but they don't get it, and then he was also hit by just a few stray feathers that I think he wasn't expecting, leading to be so low that in a single combo they would just die.
Yeah, and I mean, if he gets like one more auto off, he probably just flashes for the kill there. I mean, he had such a huge health advantage that Viper just has to walk away. He was already significantly behind in CS, and now is even further so. And now they're just going to send Xayah back to the bottom lane here. And this is going to be Peanut clearing vision on this dragon, but they have no idea beyond the pit where anyone is. And so starting this is certainly not going to happen now for Hanwha.
Yep, the heroic entrance is now online as Zeka does hit that level 6, so he can augment some of these side lanes. They might need to overload if they're going to get something done, as there is the Justice Punch to come in. Faker going to get taunted up as the Spear will connect as well. Tibbers goes down, but here the Cavalry has arrived. Sonic Wave goes wide. Zeka just a slight sidestep there. The listing lazily to the left, once again working out beautifully here on the LCK stage. But T1 still happy to play defense in this moment.
Might be what they need, though. I like this continued trading from Owner because with the burst that Annie has, it's hard to get the trade back on her, even though her health is low. And this means that Faker still gets to stay in lane, even though his health bar is so low, and they get prio on the Dragon, whereas Delight just decides to peace out. Does it to TP, but I think with the slow TP, I don't know if they can contest. Peanut's on the other end of the map, so they're clearly deciding to let this go, and that's another Dragon going to T1.
See, Delight uses his TP to come down here with Viper, but they can't do anything to this Dragon, and like you said, it's just insane how much control over Dragon T1 has had this entire 3 sets of games, or set of 3 games, I should say.
Oh, Doran, nice sidestep there, as we can see. as the Mega Gnar just uses the R button because you may as well in this matchup. I don't think Doran's going to be dying just yet. It's a decent wall up there as Zeus is continuing to throw skills at the Cassante, but he's got the steel caps. He's looking like he's feeling okay. As Zeka moving down towards the bottom side, and Viper will be parked in mid, at least for now. 700 gold is the lead here for Gumayusi. So much of this has been him on the receiving end of all of the positives from this early game.
And that's no jungle intervention. There were no ganks, there were no dives being threatened. It was just straight up 2v2 domination, and feels like even with the increase in form that we saw of Guma in particular, but even Keria to a certain extent, I think he was a lot more inconsistent during the regular season, even though he's still at the highs. But them just gapping like this, I think, is unexpected.
That's the worst.
That is not what they were looking for here, as HLE still with an opportunity to fight for this one, as we've got top laners battling before this all starts. Gumayusi and Ona in position on these grubs as Keria able to grand exit from this one. Zeus moving back towards his teammates, but he's going to have to crash his way out of this. And it looks like that is what's going to happen. And there is the objective, just going over to T1 for free. Yet another one, tick it off.
The timing on this, where they are able to get the second grub without using Smite and then just be able to secure the third one for free. Faker on that flank angle, they knew he was in the brush. They just could not collapse because he's got flash Tibbers.
Oh, it's so... Yeah, and Ona now going to move over, deny any sort of Raptor steal. T1 have every answer in this early game.
And it's not even like Hanwha Life already getting anything on the rest of the map, because we saw in that whole sequence, Zeka was on bot, then roamed mid because he wanted to be ready for a possible fight, and the call was to not make the fight because they didn't have Mega Gnar. Then he walked into the jungle to try and maybe contest, and ends up not really getting... If you get like a plate or two out of that, I think you're going to be feeling a lot better, but the cross map just isn't there.
Yeah, look at this defensive play here from HLE. They know Gumayusi is just so much stronger. He's got a lot more weapons in his inventory. You can see there's one small hammer and a dagger here for Viper.
Delight's level 4. He just now ticked over, but he's basically a full level behind. Same for Viper.
Keria about to hit that quickness as well. Just needs, there it is.
I mean, they're just going to zone him off another wave. Like, otherwise, I mean, good luck defending this dive.
Well, there is that quickness that goes in, gets the charm onto Delight, who's kicked away. But here's the heroic entrance. Gumayusi with the Feather Storm, though, and he holds Zeka in place. The Winds of War come down, and the Sonic Wave is going to miss. That would have been a dead Zeka there, a dead Gargoyle underneath the turret, and it might still be. As Keria not quite with the amount of damage, but the feathers get recalled, and here comes Faker. He finds the angle. There's another Pyro Blast. It could be a triple for the Annie as Tibbers looks to clean up, and it's in fact the Blind Monk that gets it in the end. 4 for nothing here for T1 in this early game, and Zeus is also taking damage from Doran.
That's got to be a backbreaker. Like, there is just no way.
There's no way. Because right before this, I was going to say, I mean, at least you got a gold lead for the counter matchup. You gave Zeus. At least you got this Gnar. And if Peanut can stabilize in this game, you can have some poke. You can play around objectives. But, I mean, this is just a bottom 2v2 setup where, again, Guma pushes it in and they have so much agency. Zeus looking for something back here on the bottom lane.
He has to.
Yeah, let's see if we can find it.
TP though.
Teleport is going to come in. Doran goes all out and doesn't get CC'd from the Gnar. Zeus looking to try and get himself out of here as there is the wallop. It's Keria that comes in, and there's the Q charged up. Doran wanting a little bit more. The flash does come through as Zeus gets the transformation. The turret's getting aggressive. Zeus still trying to get out of here, but it does not work. And Doran picks up the kill. Once again, T1 are schooling Hanwha Life Esports all over the map.
And it feels like at this point the sweep is imminent. We were hopeful that maybe something could happen, as we're going to see a replay of that topside play. It's just a disaster across the board. It looks like initially maybe there's a chance to turn it around with Zeka, with Zeka coming in. That's the first Feather recall. Viper's ult goes into Narnia, just like some of the spears you're about to be seeing. And even though the members of Hanwha are here, they're already so far behind. And here comes the Annie. Finds the two-man stun. That spear from Peter, even if it hits Faker, it doesn't matter, but it just adds insult to injury.
And it's just, it's the pressure, you know, that's there in the top side that allows all of this to happen, because if you know, the Galio doesn't come up, they lose that, right? But when the Galio comes up, it means Faker can come up for free. There's no CC on this Nidalee, there's just no saving it, and Doran has backup because once again, unsealed Spellbook Rakan is going to be how Keria helps Doran hard force this kill on Zeus. And at this point, it almost feels personal as Doran is making this road to MSI all about him.
Well, T1 are going to continue making it about them as they look for this engage onto Peanut. He tries to get himself out of there, but Delight is in such an awkward position. Zeus is coming on over. The door has been set up as Viper in a decent spot. The culling this time is going to actually hit some T1 players, but the block from Faker is so good. And Zeus will just get wiped out. Oh man, is this T1? Is this the Harlem Globetrotters? They are just dominating.
This is disgusting! I mean, it's the most one-sided game we've seen in a while, probably arguably across the whole tournament. We had some crazy KET 3-0s, but this is something else entirely. Doran gets the whole turret, the first turret, and feeds the string. And I don't know if this could be any more one-sided. And I want to see the Hanwha fans. How are they feeling right now?
I don't want to. Let's not do that.
I'd rather not know. I think it's okay. It's a 6K gold deficit, and again here, it's T1, the power friendship. Someone goes in, we all commit, and obviously so far behind is Hanwha already in items, but I thought with that 2-man knock-up, maybe that could be something. Maybe they can follow up, but they just don't have the stats. Ona gets Peanut in, which means that Peanut just goes down after that kick, and then Zeus desperately tries to take down Keria. Look at his weaving. The shield keeps him alive. Owner obviously doesn't care about the turret. And that's the only appropriate response!
Yeah, Keria just having a little bit of a giggle at this one. I think he kind of knows that that ticket is already theirs. Looking for another bit of an engagement here, as soon as we're out of replays, we seem to be into another thing.
T1's success is also Hanwha's tragedy. Again, so close, but coming into today, massive favorites. Massive, massive favorites. I mean, there were so many 3-0s on our side. Very few T1 believers, and they were 3-2 believers at that, hoping that it's going to go to the 5th and final game. And it must be insane whiplash to come into today feeling like, well, it was tough against Genji, but surely today we'll get it done. And T1 are just a different beast than they were in regular season, a different beast than they were even yesterday. And this is the kind of glow up you want to see from a team that's going to represent the LCK at MSI.
It's just hard to imagine a way back for Hanwha in this game, right? Like, not even talking about the mental, not talking about the fact that they are on the verge of losing their 6th game in a row, basically getting just fully swept.
Oh dear, that door went the wrong direction there as Delight does absorb a few of these auto attacks. Stand Beside is going to get Delight out of there, but still...
You're a short-range comp? Like, how are you ever going to retake any controller? You need to get down and dirty to get anything done, and the items just aren't there.
And who sets up the Galio ults? You know, how do you find your way in? It's
like that.
Yeah, here's the flash forward. That's what Delight is looking for as they do get the Feather Storm out from Gumayushi. That's exactly what HLE want. Now there's a clock. Now they need to figure out how to get on top of Guma and make something happen. But I mean, I feel like they are so far behind, and yeah, there's Cleanse, there's Flash. Thanks for showing me there, Chronicler. There is still answers here, and he's got a 2,000 gold lead. The wallet advantage also going to be helpful.
All you got to do is just ult that there and you're fine. As even this is desperation.
Yeah, I mean, this is Zeka being able to push Faker away. He's, of course, got the Molten Shield and now has a bear. Going to make this one a little bit unfair towards the bottom side of the map as the Winds of War come down. But I don't know whether Zeka can even win this.
Oh my God.
He discovers that as well as he flashes
away. It's too much! Where's the mercy rule?
Yeah, oh God.
And I wanted a good series today. And for me, that meant T1 showing up. I didn't quite mean it like this. I didn't expect to get the bad series because T1 showed up a little too much.
I feel like you opened the door for T1 to show up and Hanwha Esports just left.
We may have monkey pawed this one a little bit.
I think that is the important thing to note. Hanwha were the favorites today, but if you had come in and you told guys, T1 clutched it, it was a 3-2, Hanwha got close, but it wasn't enough, it was the T1 magic. I don't think that would have really surprised any of us.
That's why that's why Digon predicted that.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think it was Coco as well, right? Yeah. That makes sense. T1 just out of nowhere, and it is out of nowhere, let's be very real. They lost 2-0 to this team. Not, what, was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
It is just insane, and it needs to be the credit, because we always talk about T1. We know that 4 out of these 5 players are reigning world champions, 2-time. There's also the reigning LCK champion, Kruglord Doran, which I feel like we need to give him the credit. He is the defending champion, and it was on this team that he's facing right now.
Yep. And the defending world champion that's on the other side isn't quite getting it done as Carrier goes in. Owner there as well, finds the kick to get the double knock up. As they're now just looking to take down Peanut. They'll take that one very comfortably. Delight next on the menu, Delicious. Here's the knock up comes through. My God, the damage as Zeka will be eviscerated.
Nice.
And Viper standing alongside Zeus underneath this turret, and Doran says, you are coming with me. The Kruglord sends his regards as Viper will look for a Mega Cone for a disengage.
Am I crazy? Or is it actually perfect gameable? All grubs, all herald, all turrets.
God, you
no
are
kills
right.
for Hanwha. They could perfect game Hanwha and knock them out of MSI.
Oh, that is absurd. Okay, Zeus is just going to get taken down under this turret unceremoniously. And like you were talking about, the perfect game still on the line. 12-0 is the kill score. They're going to take an inner turret here at 18 minutes. Oh man, now we're just talking about HLE. Can they get a kill ever in this game? That's going to be the question, is maybe off the back of this one, but never mind. He's got the smooth moves to taxi alongside the Gromp, the Blade Caller there as well to hold him in place.
So they got to defend this dragon if they want to keep that alive as well.
Oh,
Guma.
dear. Zeka going in. Guma is going forward into 3 people. The feathers are just doing so much damage. As all right. Carrier going to join him. There is the knock-up attempt onto Zeka, who doesn't get the taunt. Onto Gumayushi, he's got the shield, the flash, but the Feather Storm is there in answer, and Zeus cannot do anything as he gets that backline. It's the Pyroblast from Faker that locks him down, and they might be able to get one. Carrier is going to fall. There goes the perfect game, but it doesn't mean anything because they are stamping their ticket to MSI in this play right here.
Speechless is how I'm feeling right now. T1, a Super Saiyan performance, completely unlocked.
And I have been the unfortunate recipient of many a DK Fell For It Again award, but we collectively fell for it again when it comes to T1. Of course they're going to be our MSI representative. Of course they just turn it on when it matters most. They were just sandbagging. We thought it was Hanwha.
Yeah, this was apparently what Hanwha were doing. They've admitted this. They've said they were built for international competition. Well, it's a bit awkward when you don't even get to go there. As this was just Gumayushi playing with his food. As Zeus went in to try and take him down, and he just said no. And Carrier does go down, but he's Rakan. He set up the play for the rest of his teammates. Oh, goodness me. T1 just have every answer today.
I mean, they could do no wrong here. This is one of the most one-sided games I've ever seen in a best of 5 in professional play here in Korea. It's just nearly a perfect game. As mentioned, just that one kill stops the perfect here for T1, but how can you even say composed on the stage here as Hanwha, considering all the circumstances around this almost qualification for them? Is bye-bye.
Is just going to run towards Faker. The all-out from Doran just says, nope, no Mega Cone for you, sir. As in goes Carrier, finds them all in that back line. As the Galio comes down, but he just gets booted out of the rift entirely. Zeus now just trying his very best to hop his way out. Don't mind me, everyone.
The minion
as
died!
the Sonic Wave goes wide. But I still think he's just being escorted to the death chamber, ladies and gentlemen. Doran tanking up this turret momentarily. The grand entrance holds him in place. And now the base is going to get broken. Gumayushi going to test his mettle against the Otacon. And yeah, T1 are able to do whatever they want, whenever they want, until they decide that it's time to pick up that ticket.
He doesn't win this.
I don't think he does.
I mean, I'm pretty invested in this one right now. As he might be out, I don't know what he can cleanse. Yeah, he's look at the plays, look at the moves, Gumayushi! That was soloing an Otacon, everyone. That's what that was. It was, he did manage to get that one done. Didn't necessarily need to, but he did.
Everyone's had a role to play in this series, and I think Faker, who was the most quiet of the 5, has 0 deaths in this game and has been such a strong facilitator.
I've seen Guma steal objectives before, but I feel like this is a new level. Okay, this is too much.
Oh my goodness.
I wasn't sure he was going to get it. I was on the side.
Oh no, I was worried.
I mean, that was the only we're not really sure whether they'll get it moment that we've had so far in this game.
Oh yeah, that was the first moment of uncertainty.
Yeah, as we get the replay, of course.
Oh, no.
We need some preview here. As you saw that Ona was coming on over, trying to grab it, and he said, "Yeah, I won," and he did.
And if he didn't, would it really matter?
No, not really. But it's getting some revenge for his teammates. As Doran, remember, he lost that same battle on the bottom side of the map against a different camp, but still.
A clearly stronger one.
It's some revenge. As Delight, oh god, the Braum just taking so much damage here as Doran throws Zeka into the wall. He's not quite as tanky as he really wants to be right now. Still cannot tank 4 members of HLE, but it does not matter. He's just zoning.
We thought
the turret goes down.
We thought the era of Gen G T1 might have been over. We finally had a new champion. We finally had a new challenger in summer, but T1 still won the world championship and weren't able to make it to first stand. But they're putting their stamp on the MSI ticket, saying we are still able to hang with the best. We are still up there with Gen G. We are a top 2 team in the LCK, and they're going to earn it here.
Yeah, that was actually very cute by Ona. Peanut wanted to hop over there, and he was like, "Let me help you," as he kicks him back towards his base. And all right, HLE are at least on the map for the moment.
Are they?
They are absolutely reeling. In goes Zeka, looking to try and get one against Faker here as Carrier says absolutely not. He finds a whole lot of charms here in this mid lane. The heroic entrance is going to get a knock up onto the Rakan. Yeah, they'll be able to kill him again, but do they have any chance in the rest of this fight? And the answer is maybe they can get Faker, but otherwise it is all T1 as Gumayushi will be able to take down his former teammate. Peanut trying to get himself out of here as Ona going to join him as they blast going their way out. Another Sonic Wave is going to go wide as the Blade Caller coming on through. Peanut trying to do what he can, but Ona just needs one more auto, one more something as the cat will survive.
He gets out, but I don't know if he feels happy right now about it, Atlas. And
yeah, we can do the yakety sax, I think, a little bit here.
I'm pretty confident he doesn't. I'm willing to take that bet. Zeka, they know, right? Like they probably knew after the top side play. The emotes are flying, but Hanwha life.
Yeah, the sad B.
Oh no, not the sad B.
As the teleport is going to look to put the end to this funny business. As Delight came in, so that's going to try and help out here as he does have a taunt. He manages to buff the Justice Punch quite nicely here, but he's still on a sliver of health. As Zeus decent Naba position right now, but there is the insect from Ona. He's going to be able to take down Vipers. Now Peanut once again finding himself in a precarious spot, but not as precarious as what Zeus is dealing with right here. It's a cute little Gnar, and he might be able to keep himself alive for a little bit longer, but T1 are still just messing with them. As finally the Sonic Wave is going to connect, and Ona collects another kill. Delight puts up the door. He's got a flash, but he doesn't have a chance to use it. And now T1, with so many members of HLE out of this game right now, they're going to look to take down an inhibitor and get this first Nexus turret taken down as well.
26-3, 8 turrets to 0, no objectives for Hanwha in this final game.
And I had a line prepared about denying golden roads and things like that. I just don't think it's relevant. T1 were just so damn good today. It didn't even look like Hanwha Life Esports turned up. They'll take down the Nexus and T1 will stamp a deserved spot at MSI.
On one side of the arena, elation for T1 returning to form. A T1 that struggled through LCK Cup, was defeated by this very same team early on in our playoffs. A team that had swapping bottom laners and underperforming top laner, but they did not give up. Their resolve was insanely strong in this road to MSI, and they will once again be our representatives. Faker grabs the ticket amongst roaring fans